grandmother, I called her grandma because babysitting, I guess. So she was a major presence in the family. She was sort of a bit of a matriarch, kind of. She died last year, and ever since then, it's just quiet, kind of dull in a sense. But that's okay. Well, it's not, but it is because she was sick, and there was a lot of pain in her last few years. So in my mind, I think that she is free from this pain, and she doesn't have to suffer the constant suffocating. And I just wanted to talk about her and our relationship and our life, her life. And my grandmother was born in 1940. She was poor, and she had several siblings, about 5. And when she was 17, she had to drop out of high school because she got pregnant, and she had my eldest uncle, Uncle Norman, and she couldn't get married to the father until she was 18 because her parents would not let her get married. But they got married at 18. She couldn't get to college. She didn't go to college, but she did later on get her GED for high school. Her husband was a drunk, and he would go to work, come back, or go to some bar, squander all the money, just waste it all. My mother told me that there was a year when her 2 brothers were unable to have a decent Christmas because their father just wasted all their money in a single night. And if it weren't for his mom, those 2 wouldn't have had any Christmas. So my grandmother at that point decided that she wouldn't rely on him anymore, and that she would get the money herself. So she got a job working for the Norfolk Public School System, and she became a librarian assistant, and she was so good at being a librarian assistant, she was almost like the librarian. And eventually she stopped working when I was in middle school, so about 2011, 2012. So she was also, as a grandmother, or as a family member, she loved the kids. She would hug us and kiss us, and just, like a grandmother would. And she cooked really well. She was taught by her mother-in-law. She cooked really good dinners every Sunday, every week. And then she also had carrot cake. She cooked every holiday. And that was her life early on. And when she got started out as sort of minor stuff. First of all, she had a problem with her foot. She would drag it because I guess she couldn't feel it. And then she would get surgery every once in a while, but it never got fixed. So one day, the doctor saw her kidney and saw a spot on the kidney, and they were watching it. So then they saw that the spot moved, and they did an MRI, and my mom, she thinks that the contrast they used in the MRI caused a really weird allergic reaction. It caused these pimples and abscesses to just grow all over her body. It was just extreme. And it's just, she said it was painful, and I believe her. I did research on contrast, allergic reactions for contrast. Not that many people have allergic reactions, and there aren't that. They say that I couldn't find anything about how anything related to my grandmother's reaction, but there's definitely a potential for an allergic reaction for contrast. And the closest condition I could find to what she had was hidradenitis suppurativa, which is a skin condition that causes pimples and abscesses, and generally areas where there's a lot of friction, so armpits and the groin and those places. And so I don't know if it was the hidradenitis or contrast. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, she broke her hip because her foot was dragging, and one day she was being rushed out the door by my nephew, who was about 3 at the time, and she tripped on the door, she fell, she broke her hip. She had to go to the hospital to get surgery, and then she had to go to the nursing home for physical therapy, and the nursing home was just awful. They weren't really, it's not awful in an abusive sense, but it was just, nursing homes aren't that great. She went to several, they weren't great. And she also had COPD, which was from her smoking before I was born. So I never got to see her or see her smoke, but she did smoke. And she had these extreme breathing problems. So she would have to have an oxygen tank or the mask that would help her breathing at night. And she died in 2015. My grandmother's relationship with me is like your average grandmother and grandchild. She was a kind grandmother. She took me to the library, and mom had to go to work, and she would let me play in her room, and she would watch TV with me. And there was a time when they made bookmarks at the Norfolk Vocational School. And she gave those bookmarks to me so I could give them to my school's library. And that was actually kind of cool for me. And as I grew older, I noticed that my grandmother, after she stopped working, life would just kind of slow down for her. But she still she helped my mom pay the bills with her Social Security money. And when she got sick, she seemed lonely and tired. And her face would prevent her from going out and seeing people because she was just so ashamed of how gross her face looked. I would have to, and as her breathing problems got worse, I had to look out for her and listen to her at night to make sure she wasn't suffocating on the machine. When she died, I was relieved because she looked like she was so much, she was in pain. She looked like she was in so much pain. It's just really happy. Before she died, I don't know, I didn't feel the same closeness I did when I was little. I'm guessing it's the stress and the fact that she had been taken care of so often sort of just made me feel detached a little. And but before she died, she told me that she was proud of me, and she died before I graduated, so I didn't get to see her, didn't get to show her that I graduated, and I want her to see that I could go to college, and I could graduate from college, and I could succeed, but she never saw that. Now she's dead. What I like to do during the holidays, I bake the carrot cakes, me and my mom and I. And I like to go to libraries because they remind me so much of her, and just do my homework or pick up a book. The atmosphere is just very calming. And we keep her ashes in the dining room next to this statue of Mary, Virgin Mary, because she loved that statue a lot. And another thing, my mom would tell me that, actually a couple of family members would tell me that I look and I could sort of kind of act like her. We look alike. I remember on her funeral, I came downstairs dressed up, and my cousin looked at me. He told me that he almost thought that I was my grandmother, and I was shocked actually, because nobody had actually ever told me that until she died. It's kind of weird. So, as a conclusion, I want to me, my grandmother was a source of love, and she was so hardworking. She worked so hard for the family to keep it together, to care for us. Eventually, I want to be like that for other people. I remember going through her stuff and seeing this letter from a student who she let stay in the library during rough times, and the student had written a thank you letter. Basically, it was just thanking my grandmother for being so kind. And I just want to be like that kind of person who wants to help people and just give them comfort. Yeah, that's.
Okay, thank you.